Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Please join me in Gasho and the recitation of the Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, Namanda, Namanda. Well, thanks so much for joining us. I'm Bill Teague. I'll be the chair for the service. As you know, Kenji Sensei is adding some elements of our normal regular service that we would be having indoors, even in these little videos. So he will be chanting shortly. And in addition to his Dharma message, we'll also have announcements at the end. I hope everybody is doing well. I hope that you all enjoyed the best part of the rain that got to us the other day. It was short, but it was intense for a little bit, and San Diego could use the water. I hear in some places there was even hail. So I'm hoping it didn't catch you out without cover or on the freeway, and that you were able to enjoy the rain as it came down and appreciate the fact that our weather is cooling a little bit, not quite so hot. So today, to continue with the service, Kenji Sensei will be leading us in the Vandana and T Sarana.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one. Buddha saranam gacchami, Dhamma saranam gacchami, Sangam saranam gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Kie Butsu. Namo Kie O. Namo Kie O. Dasho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda. Samanda. Good morning. Good to see everyone here. In the month of May and June, we had hopes that we would be getting back into the temple for on-site services. And therefore, I planned this talk to be about the ritual and what we might do there. However, unfortunately, because of the increase of the infections of COVID here in San Diego, we are not able to meet and gather together in the Hondo. It's been very unfair that those who refuse to get vaccinated or wear masks have caused this increase. And so the infection rate is quite high for those who are not vaccinated. And the problem is it's been unfair to others, unfair to children, unfair to businesses who can't open, and unfair to those who may have lost jobs. It's unfair to many people. This brings in the idea of interdependence, that we are really responsible for each other and that we can help each other by taking all these precautions to keep each other from being infected. And so we really encourage people to get vaccinated, to use all the precautions of wearing masks and being distant, washing our hands, so that we can help to really end this pandemic, so that we can gather again in our temple. Now, the teachings of the Dharma is usually given in services at our temple. And each of us wants to really know what these rituals mean. And so I thought I would go over them today, because what they're leading us toward is the teachings of truth. And following the teachings of truth really leads to harmony and joy. So let's begin by thinking of returning to our services in our temples and learning what these rituals might mean, so that we can not only do them in the temple, but carry these same ideas into our ordinary life. These principles with the ritual really embodies them. And what that means is we have an experience with our whole body. And with that, we can bring this into our daily life and recall what we did at the temple and use those as guides as we lead our ordinary life. We would like to give the proper meaning to some of these rituals that we have. Now, we'll go through a typical service. To start off, there are some things that we should remember. That often we use the symbolism of using the left side as representing our ordinary self, that which is perhaps unawakened. And then the right side represents our awakened self. Now together, they form this non-dual wholeness. And that's the position of our gassho. So when we first enter the hondo, or a sanctuary, we walk in and take the first step with our left foot. And then what we do is we bend slightly forward with a slight bow. And this is called a yu-hai. And it's in respect to the Buddha, all others. Where else might we see this bowing when we enter a room? I think we'll see this in many of the Eastern martial arts. Also, a tea house for the tea ceremony has a very short door where everyone who enters must really bend down. And that represents humility, and that we honor each other as being equals as we enter this room. Bringing this outside the temple facility, how might we think about ourselves when we enter a room? Might we think about how this building came to be? Even the temple itself. Our pioneer ancestors helped build it. And they were thinking that they would have a place for their children and grandchildren to listen to the Dharma. So whenever we enter a room or building, we might think of all those people who made it possible for us to enjoy that room. And we also honor the people who are in the building and the intention of what goes on there. The intention in entering the hondo is to really hear the Dharma. And this Dharma is the teachings of truth. And that's why there is this respect and this honoring as we bow forward. Now we just bow forward in just a short degree, and you bend from the waist, going forward like this. The first thing we do is burn incense at the altar. And so we can go forward and stop about 3 or 4 feet in front of the altar. Again, bend from the waist with a slight bow. Then we move forward, starting with our left foot again. Once we're in front of the incense burner, we take a pinch of incense powder and place it into the burner. And at that time, we put our 2 hands together, the left and the right together, held by an enju, our mindfulness beads. And then looking at the scroll or statue or the scroll with the Chinese characters, the Myogo, the 6 Chinese characters, we look at that and we recite the Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu. We could say it once or several times. And then we have a deep bow. And we hold that for some time. Again, I'll demonstrate it. A deep bow. That bow, again, represents respect, humility, several things. Then we take a step back with our right foot first, and then a slight bow again. Now, the burning of incense could represent several things. It makes us a participant in this whole experience of impermanence. We are taking solid pieces or granules of incense, placing it into the burner where it turns to ashes, smoke, and fragrance. And so we're acknowledging that we're part of this experience of impermanence, that everything changes. And it also honors the Buddha and all those who have passed on. Burning incense also has a sense of purity, where it shows the purity of our intentions. Now, the Gassho is, again, represents our wholeness, left and right side, held together. And then this deep bow represents our worship, praise, and aspiration. And these are the processes that Vasubandhu and also Tanmoan talked about. Now, stepping back with our right foot, again, represents the thought that we are more awakened than when we first entered the room. After burning incense, we find a seat in the temple and we sit down. The first activity we do as a group is chant. And these are chants that have come down to us from the time of the Buddha, 2,500 years. Both the words of the Buddha and masters who have elaborated on his thoughts. And so this is very important and very sacred to us. We may not understand them because they may be in different languages, but it is just the sound of the chant and us participating. Before we start to chant, we have our service book. And what we do is honor the words of the Buddha by doing what we call itadaku, or really being thankful for this honor, chanting the words. So before opening the book, we take it and we put it above our head, and then we can open it. Actually, when we end the chant, we again close the book and put it over our head. And we're honored to have these chants, repeating in different languages the thoughts of the Buddha. Often we might hear questions of not really understanding these words. But what happens actually is that it's the sound and it's the tune that is incorporated within our services. And I know as a minister addressing people who may be in their deathbed, that during the pillow service, or what we call a bedside service before a person is transitions to the other side, the chanting is something that they can hear. They may not be really conscious, but the chanting penetrates. And if they have been living their lives and having gone to services during their life, the chanting really soothes and calms them. And the families have told us that after we come to do this service, people seem to relax and they're ready for this transition. So the chanting we do really is honoring the words of the Buddha, but it also has this very experience of being one with the whole. Each of us, as we chant, are individuals, and yet we match our tone, pace, volume with each other. And so we participate in this act of interdependence, and it becomes a very spiritual experience. Now, an important part of this chant are the 6 nembutsus, which we do at the very last. We realize that when we come into a service, we might be a little upset or hurried because of life outside. After the chant, we find ourselves relaxed and ready to listen to the Dharma. Also, at the end of the chant, we do the 6 nembutsus. And after chanting this whole chant, we realize that we do feel more calm. So as we chant the 6 nembutsus, really get an experience of it. We don't have to do the gassho, but each time we voice the nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, let us really experience that with our whole body. Think about this the next time we chant in the temple. Now, after chanting, we often have gathas or readings. Again, in English or other languages, we understand what the words are saying. And rather than just saying it rotely, we just think and really experience what the words might mean to us. One of the practices we talk about in Shin Buddhism is to listen. And this is what the readings are about, to really hear the words as we say this, perhaps after a meditation period. Now we come to the Dharma talk. Again, our practice of listening comes in. And hearing the Dharma is something, because we might hear this, but each time we might hear it at a deeper and broader level. It may mean something different to us each time. And so it's important that we listen intently and listen to the deeper message. Now, we might listen for information, and this may help us. We might even listen for the inspiration. What's important is that we do something with this inspiration, that we listen to this and we try to carry it out outside of the temple, not just leaving it within the hondo or the temple itself. Now, I've heard that if the sermon is given in Japanese, the intent of the minister might be to know that his sermon was heard, the people are crying. If the sermon is in English, the attempt is to get people to laugh. This just shows the difference of cultures. But the point here is that the minister really wants to make a connection with the Sangha, really know that they are hearing, and that we might use these devices of emotion to really have people hear the deep words and to listen and to use the teachings in their ordinary life. Now, Dharma talks are effective if they really touch the experience of each person. And that's difficult to do because we all have different backgrounds and different levels of understanding. And this is why I think the discussion is very important. This is why we have our Buddhism 1, 2, 3 on Wednesday nights. And the topic is basically what the sermon was about on Sundays. Because in America, the words and some of the concepts are different. And that if we don't have a clear understanding of it, we may misunderstand what the sermon was about. And so these discussions are very important. And they replicate what Shinran was doing when he was in the farmland. They met together not in services so much, but in houses where they basically had talks and discussions. These little groups were called Ko, K-O. And this is where, again, people would clarify what they heard Shinran say. And so I really encourage people to come to discussions or give the minister or myself a call if they don't understand something. I don't think I'm a very good speaker. And so in my talks, I attempt to provide suggestions for practices that will put these teachings into our ordinary life. And what that may mean is that these Buddhist values become a part of our ordinary life. Otherwise, the talks just remain information. And I think it really has to become a part of us. And so practice is important. In Japan, some of these practices that I've talked about in the services are part of ordinary life. The bowing, respect for others, things just in the words and in conversation. But in America, some of these things are not so basic to our ordinary life. And so we must consciously repeat a practice. Now, another part of the service might be gathas. And often we sing the song Ondok-san. And what this says is that it's us realizing the debt of gratitude we have to Amida Buddha and to our Dharma teachers. And we express this gratitude by putting great energy into sharing this with others. And that's what we do when we wake up. We realize that we have received this compassion, Amida's compassion, by the efforts of others. And we say, thank you, Namo Amida Butsu. But it's also important that we work for the benefit of others, duplicating what we think is the work of a bodhisattva. We're part of this entire vow, where we are benefited by the efforts of others, and in turn, we work for the awakening of others, including ourselves. Now, as the service ends, we leave the hondo. So as we get to the back door, we turn around again and face the altar. And then we give, again, a slight bow. And we leave with the right foot first. I want to emphasize that try not to trip over yourselves. These are just symbolic things to help us remember that coming in with our left foot, we might think of our ordinary selves. As we leave with our right foot, we are perhaps a little more wise, have gained a little wisdom and information to help our lives. And what we do with this is we take it out into the world. And this is why our hospitality, where we share refreshments and friendship with others, is important. Because as Shin Buddhists, our ordinary life is where the spirituality comes in. We don't leave it in the temple. It's part of our life. And so these rituals we have in the temple, respect for others, honoring, gratitude, we're doing these simple rituals, not as rituals, but as reminders, so that we can carry these values into our ordinary life. And so with that, please join me in expressing our deepest sense of gratitude with voicing the Nembutsu with the posture of the Gassho. Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Sammanda.
Thank you so much, Kenji Sensei. I just have some announcements. The fall Ohigan service, thanks so much if you joined us for that live Zoom event, but it's now available on demand on our website or the YouTube channel. And I hope everyone was able to take advantage of the Tri-Temple seminar yesterday. Hosted by Vista, Buddhist Temple of San Diego was a co-sponsor. That will be available soon, and we'll post that on our website. But I also wanted to confirm that for the next few months, I will continue with this general model where there'll be videos for most Sunday Dharma services and live Zoom events online, live for major services. And on those major services, the youth in our Dharma school will stay for much or all of the Zoom sessions with us. But on Sundays where there's a video, like today, the Dharma school is having its own service at 10 a.m. And if you haven't joined one, you really should. You can email the temple to request a link for that service, and it'll get sent to you, and you'll be added to a mailing list for future ones, so you don't have to request it each time. But those services are really inspiring. You've got Dharma school students who are actually running the service, leading chants, doing the readings, in some cases even providing the Dharma talk. It's just so heartwarming. You'll find it a nice antidote to getting blue about not being able to have real services in the meanwhile. So on most Sundays, if there's no major service or Zoom event planned for the general Sangha, I recommend you attend the Dharma School service. Students and staff, and especially our ministerial assistants, just do a wonderful job. Looking ahead, the temple has scrambled, as you know, to adapt to a safe way to celebrate our 95th anniversary on October 10th. And one way to understand it is that there are actually 3 parts to that. Parts 1 and 2 are part of a live Zoom event. Part of it will be hosted at the temple. Part of it will be by video, but it starts at 9:30 a.m., so we have time for everything. We expect the service to go about an hour. And after the service, part 2, still part of the live Zoom event, will begin our celebrations. There'll be some entertainment, there'll be some presentations, sometimes by video, but much live comment. So please don't miss that. We expect that to end just about 11 or a few minutes later after 11 a.m. And we did this so people would have plenty of time for part 3, which is our live drive-through event at the temple parking lot. It starts at 12 noon and runs through 2 p.m. It includes bento pickup for those of you who pre-ordered bentos. We have a small gift for you, observing our 95th anniversary, a little memento. And there'll be some other surprises as well. You'll also get to see the beautiful paint job now completed on the Hondo. It's the same as before, only looking brand new with 1 or 2 minor changes, if you can pick them out. So more information on the 95th anniversary observances will appear in the Busei script, Archivo, out next week. One important note, as with Ohigan, we are going to ask you to pre-register. So that information and the login form will be available just a little later today on our temple website. As a last announcement, just a reminder, you can order a 2021 temple t-shirt off of our website. It's really nice this year. We have images of the front and back so you can see what it's all about. And please consider getting yourself a reminder of how we got through 2021. It's all on our temple t-shirt. So it only remains for us to go ahead and join together in reciting the Nembutsu. Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. This concludes today's service. Thank you, Sensei, for your Dharma message. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Take care. Be safe. Stay well. Bye.